Go ahead and, oh, thank you, Eric, for getting that recorded. Appreciate it. We're good. We're recording now. Before I get started and hand it off to Danny, are there any questions? Is there anybody having trouble with communication or hearing? I don't see any problems. Very good. Awesome. Okay. Danny, if you'll unmute and say hello, I will then share the presentation and we can get started with our sort of introduction to you all for the outreach and the work that the district does in the Valley and in Arvin and Lamont.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Heather. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Danny Gonzalez. I am with the, well, first of all, welcome to the first Arvin Lamont Outreach Subcommittee. Super excited to be here. Super excited to kind of discuss what we can get together and lift off the ground and make possible for your community. So once we start sharing slides, we can definitely start get this ball rolling. So just to kind of get some background info, the really purpose of this meeting is to kind of see and discuss and plan out what we want to focus on in providing to the Arvin Lamont community, particularly focused on two programs, right? The passenger vehicle repair and replace program, as well as the residential lawn and garden program. And so we want to make sure that we are, one, hearing your points of view, see how better serving your community, what kinds of activities we can do to, one, raise awareness, make sure people are aware of what's being brought to them, to their community, but most importantly, how effective can we be in making sure that we are reaching the audience? So what are the strategies? What are the ways that we want to make sure that we are getting the word out there and people are actually participating and engaging in these services? And so we...
Apologies. I'm so sorry. I'm having trouble with the presentation, Danny. Give me just a second.
Okay, no worries. And so just to get a little continue on as Heather kind of works that out, we have multiple staff from those respective programs here to answer any types of questions or concerns or further discussion you would like to know about those particular programs. Although these are not new programs, we're well aware of. These are part of, as approved by CSE members, certain measures that we want to implement in your community. And so again, this is really kind of just to outline that structure of what that's going to look like. How exactly is it that we're going to lift off these programs to better serve the community? And as you see here in that first slide that we want to get to, we want to first discuss outreach. Being part of the outreach and communication team, some of the efforts that I focus on along with my colleagues in the OC department is to making sure that we are out in the community. We are essentially the boots on the ground, getting the information out there, being out in the community, discussing one-on-one with individuals, with residents, educating them, making them aware of what is available to them, how they can access the information, and how they can register for these particular programs that are offered to them. And there's a different array of services that we offer in regards to making sure that we are effective in those regards. Obviously, we use social media, something that we can come across all platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I mean, you name it, we want to make sure that we are there in the first line. And then moving forward, we also used other mediums as far as television goes. We can definitely use, I think we lost the slides, Heather?
Yeah, I'll share them right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
I got you. Are you seeing my slides, Danny?
Yeah, I think they're up. Just
awesome.
And we can just go to the next slide. There we go. So like just going back a little bit, so we had social media. Obviously, the district does utilize Facebook, X, or formerly Twitter, Instagram, Nextdoor, and LinkedIn to ensure that we are reaching our audiences across the board. We also obviously use traditional media such as television, radio, outdoor billboards or carteles, print, newspaper ads, direct mail. And again, I want to emphasize that these are ways of utilizing. We don't have to use them all. We want to hear from you, the community, as to what is the most effective way of reaching your neighbors. We can definitely also use digital media. These are oftentimes referred to as search engine marketing or SEM ads. This is paid digital media strategy to increase the visibility of the website, making sure that we are directing traffic or targeted residents towards those programs specifically, in inclusion with over-the-top or OTT media. This is the streaming service that delivers content over the internet. We can definitely go into detail. That's something that you guys would like to engage in. And obviously, we have traditional forms of outreach, those that direct good old-fashioned outreach, making sure that we're out in the community, participating at community events, anything from faith-based, other CBOs or nonprofits, school-based events, anywhere where the community is going to be at. We want to make sure that we're there, that our presence is known, that we are there to support and encourage registration. And most importantly, community relations, right? Making sure that we are getting the word out. So let it be that we need to put together a press event, or hosting our own event, or in partnership with others. It's all about the networking that we can kind of create that foundation for these programs. And again, the CBO partnerships. So again, this is kind of laying out that skeleton of what we can do. By no means is this restrictive to what limits us that we can do. We can do a combination of these things, or in conjunction with other ideas that you may have as CSE members. And that is, again, that is the point of this subcommittee outreach committee. Next slide. And so what does that look like exactly? So you can see here, yeah, I can definitely slow down. So you can see here that some of the things that we have been conducting and participating in, our staff is out in the community itself, let it be after school hours, during pickup times. You can see here district staff handing out calendars, registration forms, pamphlets, all focused on educating the public at those critical times where they are available to be accessed. And again, we do participate in ongoing community events to ensure that residents are being registered for those targeted events that we want to bring awareness to. Next slide. And we have also can see here some of the highlights of other community efforts that we've done across the board, across the valley. We do see here staff conducting any type of registration in regards to other events and services and programs that we offer the community itself. Again, it really takes a village, and we really unite as a district to make sure that these services come to fruition for the community itself. Next slide. And this is just an outline of some of the activities that we have scheduled for this year alone. Again, if at any point during the meeting or any coming days, you as a resident are aware of any events that are coming up, by all means, let us know, and we will make our effort to be there, to have our presence known there. But these are just some of the events that we are scheduled to attend in Arvin, Lamont. And so, again, I cannot stress enough that if you as a CSE member are aware of any particular event that is happening in your neighborhood, let us know so that we can put it in our calendars and make it happen, and we can have a presence there at that particular event. Next slide. In addition to the other events and just community outreach that we do, as the Outreach Communications Department, we also have a good standing relationship with various schools throughout Arvin, Lamont. And that looks in the form of our House Schools Connection or Healthy Air Living Schools program that encompasses educational presentations for youth, parents, and adults, educating them on air quality information and then relative information to them. In addition to our READ program that offers real airtime monitoring displays at their school sites respectively. So this is an ongoing program that we offer year-round to students and parents and professionals across the community.
This is Heather. I was going to interrupt real quick. That picture, this is Heather in Outreach. That picture on the right is today, as a matter of fact. We're so excited. I'm going to toot the horn for Danny because he and Zong were out in the field today, as a matter of fact, working with several Arvin schools to deploy these air quality displays at their school site for students, faculty, parents, and those folks to have the localized air quality presented on a digital screen all the time while they're at school. And so I just want to applaud that effort. Good job, Danny.
Thank you, Heather. And so with that, that concludes our presentation. Again, this is the goal here is to have a really informal conversation with all of you, allowing this safe space to share what your thoughts are on how we can make these two measures come to fruition in your community. And so any ideas or thoughts and suggestions are all welcomed here. And hopefully we can get together and create some sort of structure that we can successfully implement both of these measures in your community. So at this point, I think I will hand it over.
I'll take it. Thank you, Danny. Okay. So there's a lot of you here, which I'm very excited about. We generally maybe have 5 or 10 folks in a small environment, so I'm excited that you're all here, and I want to encourage you at any point to put questions in the chat and ask us questions. This space is intended to be less formal, more of a conversation with you guys. So if you think of something off the cuff, raise your hand, join in. It is totally okay. We basically have a couple of topics to get through tonight, as we alluded to, a couple of very important ones that we've been chatting about with you guys. And so I want to make sure that you feel absolutely welcome to jump right in. Next up on the list is a really awesome discussion about passenger vehicle repair and the Replace program. Repair and Replace. We've been talking about those with you in the last couple of meetings. And I've got team here. I've got Kevin and Carrie from the Replace team at the district. And they're going to jump in and share maybe just a little bit of the outline of how we think this is going to play out as we roll this out in your community. But more importantly, what work our Valley Can team does to do these events in your community. And I'll take a step back. Repair, of course, is the events, the tune-in, tune-up events, the ability to go out into your community, yes, and have your vehicle fixed. Oops, that's the replace slide. That's okay. And then the replace. Oh, there we go. We're getting close. Here we go. This is kind of an overview of the measures that we're going to talk about tonight. Both the incentives for vehicle replacement and incentives for residential lawn and garden. We're going to start with replacement and the fact that we are very close to launching this program and very excited to connect with you about ways we can get the word out in your community as we do that launch. I know we've brainstormed locations and kind of loosely explained that Valley Can usually ends up in the community during the week, sitting down with residents, talking about replacing their vehicle. It's a really awesome, intimate environment. And we want to talk to the outreach group, the folks that have attended today, about where we can do that, places you think are accommodating for that. I know we talked about, I think, a church and another site, and we had some good ideas. We'd like a few more, potentially restaurants. We have learned that being able to accommodate families, there's some other noise happening, there's food, feeding everyone, and doing it in an evening has worked well. Folks kind of wrap up their day from a work environment and join us in the evening. And so we plan, as we roll this out, to have evening workshops to get the community out so we can start working on replacing their vehicles. Do you see it happening like that, Carrie? Is there something you would like to add?
Yeah, no, I think that you've captured it. My name is Carrie. I am supervisor over the Replace program. And as Heather mentioned, we are very excited. We're getting very close to being able to really start to get the boots on the ground and get these events planned in coordination with the community and Valley Can, who will be our partner through these hosting of these events. These in-person evening events that Heather is talking about, Valley Can has found much success at hosting these events at restaurants for the reasons that she has mentioned. Anything that involves feeding families, a comfortable environment to come sit, relax, hang out. Ultimately what Valley Can finds that works best are restaurants that can cater to space. And so I think what we're looking for is a couple more ideas. One of the, let me pull up an email here, Bear Mountain Pizza. Is that a local pizza place down in Arvin, Lamont area? That's an example of a restaurant that Valley Can did have an event back in November, I believe. Seems to be a restaurant that does accommodate enough space. And when I say space, Valley Can will ultimately come in with printers, scanners, computers. They kind of come in and set up shop to be able to fully process an application, contingent on the applicant having all the information needed by the time you leave. So you've come in, you put your name on a list, you sit down with an applicant or a Valley Can representative, eat some food if you have to wait a little bit, but ultimately the restaurants have been very successful. I think the last event that they did have at that pizza place I mentioned, I think it was a smaller group that had showed up, about 25 About 25 people had showed up, but that type of a restaurant did have the space to accommodate. So I think what we're looking for you from you is a couple other ideas for other restaurants that we can start taking inventory of and kind of send over to the Valley Can team to start that communication with those restaurants. Ultimately, we don't have our contracts in place yet with Valley Can. That's really the next big milestone. Once we get those contracts in place, then we will be able to really begin the planning phase and scheduling out where these events take place and what they look like. So I think part of this process too is just understanding from you all how you want to see that outreach take place in the community to get the residents there that should be there. So I'll go ahead and pause there and
Thanks,
maybe
Karen.
send it back over to Heather or if Kevin has anything to add to that.
No, I don't have too much to add. I think that's a great example of where we go. It's good opportunities when, for the customers in this case to be able to bring in all the documentation and see that. I see Rusty Pizza in Lamont has already been mentioned, and I've already have them up on my Google taking a look. So I'm looking forward to finding some opportunities and good places where we can go. And your guys' help on that is going to be huge.
This is Heather again. Part of the work that Valley Can does ahead of these events, ahead of being in those communities, they show up and they flyer, they talk to, even as you hear Kevin mentioning, looking up restaurants, they really try and familiarize themselves with the community and be in the space ahead of time, sharing information, because obviously your neighbors and friends and family will need to bring specific information with them to be successful at that event. So we want to end up in the community and flyer. We will prepare for you information about these programs. And that was kind of what Danny was talking about in the big pie, right? If the outreach work that the district does is that whole pie, a piece of that pie is absolutely us leaning on you guys to carry this message into the community. And we will make flyers and we will send you stacks of flyers. We would also like to sort of plug the process, and I've said it, and I'll keep saying it. We have the ability to partner with CBOs and nonprofits and hand out small mini grants. And so if you've got a nonprofit you volunteer for, a group you work within, potentially they're already doing canvassing or they're in the community doing some kind of work already. Generally, that's the case. Maybe we can link up with them and offer them a small mini grant, maybe $2,000 around there for their time to carry our information to the community as well. And sorry about that. And so that piece of the pie is critically important because word of mouth is how we're going to do that in your community. It's a small community. We certainly have access to radio and TV and major paid platforms that we also employ. And so does Valley Can. I realize not everyone spends time in social media, but that is one outlet we can lean on in multiple languages, targeting specific folks to get the message out. And that's also one piece of the pie. So I want it to sort of be clear that we have many methods to this magic that we work and of course, leaning on you to do some of the work with us and hopefully identify some groups that maybe want to come to the table and carry out the work for us too. We are a small but mighty outreach team for the Valley Air District, but we definitely extend our reach through coordinated actions like this. I see that Bianca is maybe here. Bianca, we had a spot for you in the beginning to say hello. If you are here and are well, you are welcome to jump in. We had noted earlier that this really is a more intimate conversation, far less formal than CSC meetings. So please jump in at any time and say hello to if residents or anyone in this meeting. Oh, hi, Gabby. I see a question from Mario. Hi, Mario.
Yeah, I just want to know, you guys do not consider to put that digital panel, that billboard after all, or you guys hold back on that one?
I definitely have
To
still
speak out.
investigated. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, like that, they could, give information to the public.
Did you see the picture we shared in the presentation? We're a step in the right direction.
Yeah, well, I barely came in for I was Bakersfield right now.
Okay,
I
well,
barely-
let me tell you
I
some
barely
good
joined.
news.
All right.
Actually, so definitely working on digital displays. Answer to your question is yes. The picture you see on the screen currently is a digital display that we put up today, as a matter of fact, Mario. I know it's not a massive billboard changing in real time, but it is a nice digital display at a school site that changes in real time. And there's a small sign, you can see it laying on the table in the image that explains what the number on the screen means. And at the moment they were talking, it was level 2. But we deployed, I think, 3 of these today with 1 more to go at 4 schools in your area, which is an amazing step in the direction of having air quality conversations and explaining air quality and sort of getting that conversation happening at the school site. So yes, we're working on digital displays. I don't have a funding source and an ongoing sort of contract to put in a billboard, kind of like what you see behind me, but that doesn't mean we aren't going to notify the public digitally.
Are you guys that's extra billboards, or you guys are using the school's billboards?
We committed those signs. Those are equipment displays that we gave the school, and they will keep them and use them.
Yeah. But I mean, the school already have some. Are you guys using theirs, or you guys put new ones?
We put new ones.
I mean, is it just for the information of the air district and give information about the programs and stuff like that, or is it just, or what is it?
Gotcha. I see your question. You're asking what exactly we're giving information to them. So the display that we put up today at several sites is air quality information, and it is very specific to the Arvin Lamont community. So as you see it sitting on the table in the shot, it was level 2 while they were down there. And so it'll change throughout the day. At some point, it might say level 1 or level 3 or level 4. And the part we take the next step with is working with the schools to adjust activities based on the level that's displayed on their sign.
Yeah, but the levels, do they explain to the citizens right here, what means what, or you guys just put level on it?
The level is in correspondence with the data coming off of our air monitors.
Mhm.
And to explain so people know, it's a very good point. If somebody sees a level, what does that mean? There is a little sign. It's not just put up on the wall just yet. It's on the table in this picture. But yes, there is a sign that will indicate, and I could probably find an example of that and share.
I was about to say, I wonder if we can go to a couple other questions, but Heather, to answer Mario's question, Mario, we'll pull up another picture here in a minute that'll give a better visual. You missed it, Heather. Can you explain? This was a more of a candid shot of what was happening today, right?
Apologies. Yes. So what you saw there was just the action. So we had a meeting today at 4 sites. That's not how it will finish looking, Mario. I apologize if I gave you the wrong impression. When it's done, and I will jump in and find an image to show you, it'll be up on the wall, probably facing out either in the school office or facing out into the drive space where parents come by, so that anyone in the area can see it, both staff, students, and others. Yeah, good point. In the photo, it's just sitting on a table in a room, and it doesn't actually communicate information out to the public. Very good point.
Awesome. No, I think that some picture that we'll pull up here in a second will show you what like the finished product looks like. And yeah, I think we were just excited because it just happened to coincide with our team literally being on this morning.
Exactly,
so
Jess. Thank you.
Maybe I'll go to Jesus and then Sandra, and then we'll come back and share that with you, Mario, if that's okay, just to give time, and then we'll come back for other questions if once we hear from a few other folks, if that's.
Thank you, Jess.
Thank you. Just a quick follow-up question to what Mario was saying. It's great to see that that data is available at the schools. Is it also available on the billboards that the schools have, indicating level and then information?
Good question. Not all of those. This is Heather. Not all of those electronic billboards work the same way. Love that you're thinking that way, because that's actually where our research started multiple years ago. We were, bound and determined to get air quality information on all the school signs up and down the valley, and still essentially are trying to do that. but quickly realized that there was no proprietary vendor for those. And so the technology to feed all of those signs really was sort of rudimentary in some cases and didn't talk to our air quality monitors. And so really what you need is what we're using, which are smart TVs. The display that had that level on it, and I'm still working on getting you a photo, it's a smart TV, and it literally is like displaying an internet web page. And so it's pulling the same data feed that's sending to like our app or putting it up on our MyRAN page, and it's just feeding it to the screen at the school site through the internet.
Wonderful, thank you. And then, and that just came off of, what Mario was mentioning. I was hoping to see if we would be reviewing like a timeline for each of these projects with milestones, just so that we can keep track and see how, kind of what expectations should be at for these projects as, we progress. And then, the other thing was I saw that this month vehicle replacement got approved. So from here forward, people can start applying. Is that right?
Almost.
Close. We're so close.
Sorry. Go ahead, Jess.
No, I was just it's what you just said. We're so close. And so that was the, sorry, I don't know if you were on when Carrie mentioned, we are in the final stages of, there's some contracts that have to be signed on our end, just to be fully transparent on timing. I'm sorry, this is Jessica. And so with that, we that's why this meeting will help us the moment we're ready to open it up. We want to already have thought about the outreach locations. And so for the replace, the best way to do that outreach is for folks to show up with the vendor that helps them physically sign up. And those locations are best done at some of the restaurants. So that's why we were brainstorming some restaurants. That way we're hoping with literally weeks, we can have those events at those restaurants.
Thank you.
This is Jessica. I will note Jesus's point. We'll work the outreach team to have maybe from here on, this will become a regular meeting and we'll regularly check in on lots of things. And I think that timeline is a great idea.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I think we did Mario, or does he have a new question?
I think it's just Sandra, and then we'll go back to Mario.
Back to Mario.
Works for everyone.
Thank you. I wanted to ask, I understand that y'all are targeting restaurants and also like doing flyer stuff. I heard a lot of, we're going to Arvin and Lamont. What about the smaller communities like Weed Patch and Fuller Acres? How will y'all like equitably ensure that those communities also have access to these programs and knowledge about them?
Yes, definitely. If you've got locations in those areas, we want them. We need them. We need to be in all of those spaces. Absolutely. I'm hoping we can have multiple dates, maybe hit all of those little pockets so that, folks don't have to go too far and they can still participate.
And to that end, it's worth noting that some of these events, one of the great successes on that, I'm sorry, this is Kevin on the repair team. One of the most successful parts about how those events work is a lot of the applicants can come to these events, have their paperwork. And the great thing about it is they have people there who can tell them whether that's sufficient or whether they need something else, and people can run home and get them. So being in these small communities and adjacent to that is a huge boon. So if you can help us find locations in all of the smaller communities, not just Arvin and Lamont, it's not just about, maybe it's a 20-mile drive and they can make it. But then if they need to get something else, that's a huge burden. And if we can be in those smaller communities, it does make a big difference. So helping find those locations that we can operate in would be a huge boon. So I definitely encourage that assistance and people who know the area better than I could possibly know.
And this is Heather again in outreach. And the reason we like restaurants is it's usually an evening. It's usually dinner time. It's usually the time families need to sort of proceed forward on various things. So if they can feed children and the rest of the family while, mom and dad are filling out paperwork, we kind of hit a couple activities at the same time, trying to sort of maximize an evening time to get this done. So that's why we like restaurants, so that we can feed folks and entertain children a little more simply. Plus, they're busy and a lot of activity, and it's just easy to kind of come and go. Back to Kevin's point, we have seen many happy customers run home, get appropriate paperwork, come back, and still complete their application on the night of the workshop. And since I still have the screen, I'm going to share a really cool picture of, this is an example of what it looks like when it's done and up. This is actually DeGiorgio, which isn't, I don't think, far from you guys. I don't think it's in the boundary, but not far from your community. And so that faces out for the public to see and know what air quality looks like at all times. Awesome. So I was looking in the chat. I see a couple of suggestions. Definitely. The other thing we might do is certainly scour the community ourselves and come back to you with questions and be like, hey, we found this place. And but to Jess's point, we are within weeks. And if you came in late, Carrie made that comment that we're working hard to get all of the pieces lined up with our Valley Can partners so that we can launch the replace portion for your community. Okay, Sandra, do you have another question?
Yes.
Go for it.
Yeah, I was so two more questions. Oh, two more questions. I wanted to kind of follow up on what Jesus and Mario were saying. If I'm understanding correctly, and on the TV screens, y'all can put like the air quality based on like a web page. Would it also be possible to kind of screen the lawnmower replacement program and the vehicle replacement program for the community? So it would be like a tiny billboard. Would that be possible? Because I believe Mario's point as well, this entire like past 2 years, 3 years, has been how do we ensure that folks have access and knowledge about these programs? So we can post the air quality level. We can also hopefully post information on the program.
Yes. Well, a couple things to your point. We can do some of that. It really depends on sort of the end user. I can give you an example, I think in Kings County somewhere, one of the schools actually had a pretty robust IT team, and they did just that. They actually used one piece of a much larger monitor they purchased themselves, and they divided that screen up and had our air monitor display in the corner, and they put other school information on it. I don't have the ability to do it quite like that digitally yet, and the approval from the schools is for air quality information. However, the existing path to share information with schools is pretty robust and still working for us. And we absolutely can flyer and get information home through all the schools in the area in the same way to try and reach all the, the folks about these programs in the same vein. And of course, other means, giving flyers to you guys, back to that original conversation about the big piece of pie, about the pie and all the pieces.
Got it. Thank you. And then my last question, I think this was at the agenda setting meeting, but I had asked for information on what each program is and how folks would qualify and to what level they send out to residents. Is that in progress, or when do y'all expect to get that to community?
Timing wise, we will have all of that ready as we launch these programs. Those are the details being sorted out as we speak. So absolutely, that is a key piece.
And then Sandra, to answer your question in more detail for the ones that are already open, we plan to save some time. That plans to be a part of our agenda at our next Arvin meeting. And we'll have probably someone like Maricela and our team present it in Spanish.
Thank you. I would still recommend that y'all send out like a pamphlet or like something out to residents so they can have it on hand. So when they advocate to other folks, they can have it on hand.
Pass it out. Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Mario, I see your hand again.
Yeah. What was it? Last meeting we had for the pesticides, I was kind of a little concerned about, how the rules and regulations change. And that guy was supposed to get back at me with the question I asked him, and he never followed up or nothing. Two, another thing is that I was just wondering with maybe the next meeting, if we could have a meeting for, it's called TFAS. You guys don't know nothing about that one? TFS.
In what context? When in reference to what, Mario? PFAS?
It's a chemical
Mm.
pesticide, something like that. It's very harmless and it throws out particles, because he was talking about particles and all that. Maybe I misunderstood or something. I just want to follow up on something like that, maybe get a better understanding. PMF, what is it? A PFAS. It does create particles and creates cancers, and it creates a lot of things. They changed the rules and regulations. You know, I'm a little concerned about that.
Mario, this is Jessica. I just took a note. We'll get back to you, make sure the person, we have obviously everything recorded and all of the notes from the pesticide subcommittee. We'll make sure someone from DPR gets back to you, and also that we understand what the chemical that you're referencing, and make sure that we have your question answered. So we have that as an action item for related to pesticides.
Yeah. Okay. Let me remember the other one. I'll get back with you on the other one.
Yeah, that sounds great. And if you just want to maybe connect up with us offline as well. And I'm just saying that, noting that regarding outreach, I will take maybe Luisa's question and comment. We also want to talk a little bit, if we have time, Heather's team wants to talk a little bit about the lawn mower event that we also want to host. So maybe I'll go to Luis.
Sí, Jessica.
Yes, Jessica. Let me introduce myself. My name is Luis Gomez, and I'm from the community of Fuller Acres. And we had really good meetings with Sandra lately. And my question is for you, Jessica. When is it that they're going to give those lawn mowers? And I wanted to ask that. That's my questions. That's my question. Okay. That's it.
This is Jessica. I'll pass it to Heather. That's exactly what we want to talk about.
Great question. Thank you for setting up our next discussion. I really appreciate it. All right. So today is a discussion of great news, because we are talking about getting equipment and funding into the hands of Arvin, Lamont, Weed Patch, Fuller Acres residents. And so in that, to answer your question, it is time to set up a lawnmower exchange event in your community. We received the applicants from that process, trying to get a manufacturer to coordinate the event for us. And we have selected Steel to do so. We're very excited about that. So much like the work Carrie's team is doing, getting the repair, drive clean repair off the ground and ready for you all, we're doing the same thing in the lawnmower space, and we're looking at May. And so I want to kind of give you an idea. We typically have had a lawnmower event on a weekend. We're learning that maybe there's some weeknight potential too. We've got lots of feedback from customers and residents and we've done it enough times that we recognize that once we set a date, ask the public to apply, commit themselves to turning in their old mower, the event itself is really pretty simple. We do the application ahead of time. We get all of their information. We find out where they live. We confirm that they have an old mower that they can turn in, and we process their information. And then on event day, they just show up with their old mower and confirm their identity, give us the old mower, and take home the new one. It really is sort of that simple. The program without an event, as you all knew, would mean you'd have to drive into Bakersfield to our dismantler that we partner with and turn in your old lawnmower there. So it's an extra trip for you, which we don't want to have. So that's why we're aiming at bringing the mower event into your community. So you simply drive, hopefully, a very short distance on maybe a weeknight or a Saturday morning, we'll see. We're going to talk to you about what days and times you think are viable. Drop it off, leave with your new one, and it's done. We have taken the opportunity when we set up these events to also hand out information, talk about fireplaces, talk about cars, give out food, sort of wrap in all the elements that we've come to find out are good elements for community gatherings. And so May is the month, guys. May is the month. It's time to do a mower event in the Arvin, Lamont area. And so there are a couple scenarios that I want to throw out there for you. One of the things we've discovered as we've worked in your community is you don't actually have a local large hardware store of note accessible to you guys. And so to find a hardware store, we have landed in Bakersfield. Not far, we mapped it not long ago. I think it's about less than 20 miles. But we have the opportunity to potentially have an event there, but we also have the opportunity to work with them, ask that vendor that's applied for this program to bring it into your community. So then we just need to find a space in your community, house the lawnmowers, and we would bring a large bin. And so maybe we'd go down to the David Head Center potentially, or we'll discuss potential options. And you guys would just come over, much like we described. We would probably give 2 or 3 weeks notice and start flyering the community and telling everyone about the opportunity and asking them to either call us to apply, because we can take applications over the phone, just plug in your information, make sure you live in the boundary, and that you haven't actually applied for this program yet. And then confirm that we're going to get you a mower, and then we actually, when we confirm that for the applicants, either online or via phone, we confirm with an email or a letter in the mail. And so most of the time it makes the resident feel more comfortable. They've got their letter that says that they're part of this program, and then they just show up on the date of the event. And so you don't have to wait in line. There generally can be a line because lots of people come, and we like that, but you're guaranteed to get a mower. You've applied ahead of time, you've been vetted, and you will get one the day of the event. So what we'd like to talk to you guys about is, does there sound like a day of the week that maybe something big happens? Is there a market or a Tuesday night market? Is there what ideas percolate to the top or come up for you as to a timing that might work best to host one of these events in May? Weekends, we recognize, are viable for lots of folks. We also know May is full of some really important holidays, and don't certainly want to land on sort of a conflict that lots of people have other commitments, Mother's Day, Memorial Day holiday. Shoot, we even have other things happening, but so anyway, is there any, I haven't seen the chat. Is there any feedback? I see a couple hands. I'll go to you guys to see what you're thinking about this concept. And if you have any questions, please. I've also got Nia and Kevin, Nia Vu and Kevin Ng on the grants team. They work in that program specifically. So you can also ask the hard questions, because if I can't answer it, they probably can. Luis. If you're there,
Sí.
Yeah, hi.
Este programa
This program will help us a lot. So thank you very much. My community is talking a lot about the lawnmowers. And thank you, Sandra. Like I said, the community is happy because they'll do something here. And we will have better air quality as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your feedback. I appreciate that. I see Mario's hand up too.
Yeah, I got a question on the applicants. Is it just for the applicants, or maybe some people didn't have time to go to, to sign up or something? Are you guys gonna have extra lawnmowers for people to go over there?
Gotcha.
To apply right there and then, or
That's
what's going on?
Great question. So when we work on these events, we generally try and vet the people in advance. We oftentimes get on event day, and when the event closes, sometimes there's a little bit of inventory that wasn't picked up. Somebody said they were coming and they didn't. And we generally set up sort of a standby list on event day so that we can accommodate the walk-ups. We don't want to turn anyone away. We have plenty of funding and the ability to get these turned over. But getting that work and vetting them ahead of time is really helpful and makes the day go faster. But that doesn't mean if somebody walked up, we wouldn't be able to accommodate them and figure out a way to make that happen for them. We're going to have
What happen if you have same volunteers to help you out to do the paperwork for them? Yeah, because I know when people goes and thinking that they could go over there and get a lawnmower, but they haven't signed up because maybe they were working or doing something.
Great idea.
And it's not a good idea to turn them away because people start saying, oh, it's just this and this and that. To make it look good, it's better off to sign people in there, too. Like that they could get a lawnmower. And not only that, it helps out the environment here. And not only that, it gives the people a better understanding what the air quality is doing.
Yeah, it sounds like, I like that suggestion,
Go ahead.
Mario. And I actually do think maybe we'll do some of that. Maybe it's the same concept where we go and do weeknight discussions. I'm wondering how this timing is going to line up. I think we might also be talking to folks that come to trade out their cars about their mowers. But we could be potentially having little workshops or opportunities where we show up in public spaces ahead of the event to get folks registered, so that starts that process and to avoid exactly what you're describing. I can imagine that at some point later, we'll do this event again, maybe in another area of your community. And so the program won't go away. Obviously, the ability to trade it out right there on the spot is why we do this event.
Yeah, and too, I was going to tell you too that we could do the same thing if we have the smog check program right there in Lamont. Like that, people could get a better understanding of these programs assist. Like that, they could get to know what's going on.
Right.
I just want to see that to bring the smog check, for the cars here for repairs, they could check them, and then if they send them out to get repaired, they get repaired or whatever.
Exactly.
But here in Lamont, like that, I want Lamont to find out that these programs assist and make sure that we have clean air here, and that's the idea. That was the point from the beginning, to have clean air. And if we could have that here and educating our people here, I feel that we could have clean air, and they have a better understanding of saying, oh, you know what, electrical, is better.
Absolutely. We agree with that, Mario. And we do love these opportunities to help educate the public. And I do think we're going to need probably a larger space to host repair event in your community.
Well, I know where a spot is at, and I guarantee you it's big enough to hold an event like that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to be conscious of time. And we have just about 6 minutes left, and I see Maria has her hand up. I was going to take Maria if that's okay.
Sí, buenas tardes.
Yes, good afternoon. Well, it seems good to me on how you're thinking about doing the event so people can register beforehand, and once they're already registered, they can bring the pro, so everything is more controlled. And sometimes when people come and they didn't sign up for it, it's going to be a little harder. Everything can be done, but I think that having more control, things get better.
Excellent. Thank you for that feedback. So that kind of gives me a little bit of guidance as to timing of maybe our mower event, leaving some wiggle room so we can, land in the community ahead of time and get the word out and have enough time. Just throwing it out there again, if you would be thinking about your local community, and if maybe there is, I don't know, a busier night of the week or a less busy night of the week where you have more time, or just dates in May that jump out at you. We've got lots of things that we have to land this work in between. So not everything's viable, but we're going to try our best, to make it land in a time frame that we can receive a lot of residents. Oh, hey, hi, Bianca. I see your hand up.
¿Puedo acabar mi comentario?
I think
Can I finish with
was
my comment?
finishing,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, Maria. Apologies. Yes, please.
Sí,
Yes. Also about the date, you just said it. In May, we have a lot of events on Saturdays. So I think it'll be better to do it during the week, in the afternoon, after people get off of work, and maybe doing it in the afternoon. And that would avoid that a lot of people won't be able to make it on Saturday, because in May we have a lot of events. So I think that any other day during the week, after people get off work, and also when the heat is a little less. So I think that would be better, maybe any day during the week, during the afternoon. And that was my comment. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that comment. That's very good, very important information. And yes, we're also very concerned about the heat and recognize what happens in the valley once the summer arrives. Bianca.
I have a question in regards to the outreach. Is there a possibility they could reach out to like the schools? I know that they have different sources out there, like Parent Square, where they share the information to parents, and they share flyers of events happening in the area. So it would be nice to receive them. I know that the Arvin district does have them because I have them with my daughter.
Yes.
Any event that do come up, they'll automatically do it through the district.
Yes, absolutely. We lean heavily in every community with the schools, and I plan to follow suit just like that there too. Thank you, Bianca. Ooh, got just a few minutes left. Hey, Jesus.
And just a quick follow-up. I like the idea of the standby list, and then having the day of the event have that kind of growing standby list, and already have a date ready to send them for the following probably within a month, so that they show interest. They can either turn in their lawnmower right then and there, so that there's no future hassle, or they
Gotcha.
can wait until an already set second date.
Yeah, understood. Thank you. Okay, 2 minutes left. We are wrapping up. And this is a wonderful space. I knew we would take our whole time. We do every committee in every community because there's just so many things we can talk about and so many awesome ways to connect and get information from you. So I want to make sure that I honor your time, and I only have our interpreter for 2 more minutes. So any parting thoughts, Mario? Do you have a question on your way out? What was that earlier question? Okay. Does anyone else have questions before we wrap up for tonight?
Yo sí tenía una pregunta.
I had a question. My name is Juana. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Juana.
Tenía una pregunta,
I had a question about the vehicles, about the program for the vehicles. It's too long for the application, so I don't know if you can invest some money, maybe in people to mobilize the applications, because really that is a long time. I already submitted my application before October, and it came to the people in charge, the ones that are approving it, in October. But I submitted it earlier, from October to now, 6 months, and they're telling me that it could take days, weeks, or months. So it is very long, the wait time that they are taking for one application for the vehicles. Maybe you should invest a little more of the money just trying to mobilize the applications, because it takes too long.
Got it. Thank you for that feedback, Juana.
Okay.
And yeah, and I think that's maybe where we'll leave it. And at the next meeting, we definitely need to make sure Juana's point is something that I wonder if it, once we launch, sorry, Mario, I'm just finishing answering Juana's question.
Oh, okay.
Once we launch the program, specifically for Arvin Lamont, if the processing will be a little bit quicker, because right now you're probably a part of our valley-wide, so it's everywhere across the valley. And since we have this higher level, more funding specifically for Lamont that we're launching within the next couple weeks, we will check in and make sure that that is much quicker for folks, and we'll make sure that we connect with everyone that lives in Arvin Lamont that's in that line or that queue or waiting list right now. Mario,
Yeah.
I want to respect that we do our interpreter has to leave, so I wonder if you have a question that
I just got a real quick question. I just want to agree with what Juana was saying too. I was talking about talk to the guy from the farm, the equipment stuff. So-called, he was supposed to send me some paperwork. He haven't sent it. And two, I have a lot of question about it too on the farmer equipment for the family-owned farmers, because I've already got like maybe 3 more farmers having the same situation, and I don't think that is right.
That sounds great. I did check with folks after our call on last week, and so maybe that's where we'll leave this. Maybe certainly talk about outreach just in general to your point, but Mario, we're going to connect with you and make sure we have the names of those folks so I can specifically check on their application. So we'll connect with you after probably tomorrow now at this point, since it's the end of the day, and get you get those names from you.
The only problem is that I had to talk to my other friend, the one told me about the problem, because I don't know their numbers or nothing like that.
Well, what I'll do is we'll just make sure that we keep updating folks on all of the wait times for all of these different projects, and we'll make sure we understand that. Awesome. Well, thank you, Heather, and everyone on this call. Heather, typically after these outreach calls, do we have like some next steps or action items we send out to the committee, probably through our standing updates that Eric sends?
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Jess. We'll and get a chance to wrap up and bring back our discussion from this group out to the main committee. So that's pretty much how we do it. We get in the weeds here, and then we go back to the main committee and kind of provide the high level updates so everybody else on your CSC can see what's happening. So thank you for that. Okay, that wraps up our meeting, and I appreciate Tanya for letting me hold her 3 minutes over. Thank you.